That's the Seven Mountain Mandate, a playbook right out of Project 2025. And to the Christians indoctrinated into this high-control, male-dominated, patriarchal, Christian-focused existence, this prayer will sound familiar and even comforting. But for the rest of us, we need to see this clearly for what it is, the outright hijacking of an event by MAGA Republican evangelical Christians that shouldn't even exist in the first place. The prayer asks for God's will to be done in our lives, but in the families, church, education, business, military, government, arts and entertainment, and media. Now, the National Day of Prayer organizers are adding military, but these areas of influence are right out of the theology called the Seven Mountain Mandate. This is the teaching that says society is controlled by 7 key areas: arts and entertainment, business, education, family, government, media, and religion. But more importantly, Christians are called not just to participate in those spaces, but to lead and influence them at the highest levels. And we're not talking about just any Christians. So prayer in this context is not only about personal faith or comfort, it's about an intentional strategy that is rooted in the belief that these mountains should be guided by one particular expression of Christianity. This is not about creating space for all people, all faiths, or even no faith. It is often rooted in the idea that the country itself should be shaped, governed, and directed by this group's theological worldview. And that theological worldview is the framework behind the Heritage Foundation's Project 2025. Hope you know by now that that's the 900-page guidebook that was created to reshape the U.S. federal government into a theocracy. It's the kind that believe that Donald Trump, a man with zero morality and repeated business failings, has been ordained by God to lead this country. But even more concerning is the prayer days organizers feel compelled to add military into the 7 areas of influence for Christian leadership. And that belief has resulted in the elevation of Pete Hegseth to the position of U.S. Secretary of Defense. And those are just a few examples of the terrifying and racist and sexist beliefs of the Christians whose degrees of separation get closer to unlimited power every day. There is absolutely no justifiable reason for Christians with beliefs in the Seven Mountain Mandate to control a day of prayer. You can find this entire video on my other channels. Be sure to subscribe to be notified when my latest teachings become available.